Hello everyone, we are Naked Security back on Facebook Live. Duck, what are we talking about today?
Well, because it's the new year, and by the way, I thought it was Thursday until about half an hour ago, and then I found out it's Friday, so what a fantastic way to finish the week. But it's 2019, it's a new year, you imagine there are lots of new things going to happen, but we are seeing the same old Facebook hoaxes, so we thought we'd cover those because a lot of people imagine that Facebook hoaxes, it's just data that doesn't really matter, no harm done if you repeat them, it's all a bit of a joke, nothing could possibly go wrong. So I thought it would be good just to revisit what goes on with the typical Facebook hoax and why it's a bad idea to join in even if it just seems like harmless fun.
So Facebook hoaxes are still a thing?
Well, yes, remember we were talking earlier, weren't we, about some of the old Facebook hoaxes we wrote about. There was one with an egg. You'd share this picture of an egg, I don't know why. And there was one about that you do not make your Facebook profile picture a picture of a giraffe, because otherwise crooks can hack your account using a booby-trapped giraffe picture. Which was, of course, made-up nonsense. Those were years ago. The latest one that's come back is exactly the same as one we saw, I think, in 2017. It came out just at the end of 2018. Loads of people picked it up. It's the one that says, oh, by the way, Facebook has changed its algorithm, presumably to be a little more conservative, and you'll only really see posts on your timeline from 25 of your closest friends. And if you want to break that cycle and kind of trick Facebook into letting you see more of the Facebook world, what you need to do is you need to create a post that's copied and pasted from this one, from something different. And of course, all you're doing really is you're copying and pasting text that somebody else wrote, you're pasting it into a post of your own, and you're sending it out as though it's your own original work. So then your reputation stands or falls by what you copied or pasted. You're not liking or sharing or even endorsing something that somebody else said. You're basically letting somebody else put words in your mouth. And the thing that is supposed to make it believable is it's a way of you tricking one of the more restrictive algorithms that Facebook now has about what you get to see online. And I guess that's why people fall for it. They figure, well, what harm would it do? If this is wrong, other people will share it. There's no security risk, there's no danger, there's no harm. So I might as well do it because there's a 1 in a million chance it's true, and there's no harm done for the 999,999 chances that it's useless information. Unfortunately, that's not quite how the world works.
And so, as far as we know, Facebook hasn't changed its algorithm.
No, and I mean, for companies like the Googles and the Facebooks and the Twitters about what they choose to show you, their algorithms understandably are their secret sauce. It's part of what gives their sort of ad-generating part of their business value, and also if their algorithms were too obvious, then crooks will be able to game them and cheat them too easily. So you wouldn't know if Facebook had changed its algorithm. It would be very unlikely, and even if Facebook did, if all you have to do is give some post of your own on some entirely new topic, why would you want to choose exactly the words that somebody else sent you? Pick exactly this text that somebody else wrote and then send it out as though you thought of it yourself. That's letting somebody else put words in your mouth. What could possibly go right?
And so in general, what are the telltale signs of a hoax?
Well, obviously there are things that people believe and then they share and like when they shouldn't because they're obvious nonsense, and later they regret that. Maybe they unshare or unlike or whatever. So there's a sort of hoax that is kind of fake news that gets a life of its own. But the sort of Facebook hoax that we're talking about here are the ones that very specifically say to achieve this special result, just liking this, just sharing this isn't enough. What you have to do is you have to copy and paste this text into something of your own and send it out with your own imprimatur, under your own name. And the thing that it's asked, firstly, even if it's 100% true, do you want to use somebody else's words that somebody else chose to make a point of your own? Probably not, because it means that you're actually acting as an unpaid spokesperson for somebody else. But typically these things, they're obviously there's a lot of fishy or suspicious stuff about it, that it's making a claim like the thing about tell everybody that they mustn't have a giraffe picture. It seems very unlikely to be true. So that's the hallmark of a hoax. It's just saying, take this information, trust it blindly, repeat it and tell everyone else what it is, and whatever you do, don't take the time to go and check whether this is true or false. So even if it's a kind of a harmless sounding thing, the idea is that the characteristics of this Facebook hoax is it's kind of conditioning or training you to accept information without any critical evaluation. And that's a bad place to be in, because it means that you could easily end up being a mouthpiece for opinions or views that later turn out to be quite objectionable, and you jolly well wish that you hadn't, put out those views under your own name. So that's a telltale sign of a hoax. You've got to copy this text, and you've got to put it out as though it's exactly your own opinion. And, before you ever do that, you need to make absolutely sure that you agree with that text. So don't just do it on somebody else's say-so.
We're getting a notification saying there's poor connection, so sorry.
Oh dear. Yeah, if you're seeing us all a bit pixelated. So maybe
I like your dance, Doug.
Maybe it'll come out double pixelated. So let me... Oh, golly. So much harder to type when people are watching. Just for an example, here's the latest hoax, which is a hoax from about almost exactly a year before repeated. The one about 25. Only 25 people will appear, if you can see that.
Yep.
You can see that the characteristic aspect of that is you're not being asked to share it, you're not just being asked to endorse it, you are being asked to hold down, copy, paste, and absolutely repeat it. And the thing that it's suggesting is kind of unbelievable. So when you're faced with that, don't blindly believe it. So sort of try before you buy, as it were.
What about, we've seen hoaxes that say that Bill Gates is going to give you lots of money, or Mark Zuckerberg might, if you just share this image. I mean, what's the harm in just sharing an image?
Well, the problem with just sharing images is that, if it's not true that in that particular hoax, I think they were going to give you $5,000 just if you copied it. It's just creating an expectation for some people. There may be others on Facebook who are more easily influenced by the words of others, and if you just join in, part of the harm is that you're contributing to making it look as though something is true without any sort of due diligence at all, and that's probably not a society that you really want to live in. But the other problem with just sharing anything, whether it's an image or some text or an idea, is that you're kind of softening people up for messages that, well, if it doesn't really matter whether it's true or not, I better let people know, particularly if it's a security tip or a security warning. I'll let them know just in case. And I think what happens is that people figure there's no downside. So say there's a 1 in 10,000 chance that this is true, then if I don't tell my buddies and they found out that I could have, then they'll be cross with me. They'll say, well, you're supposed to be an expert, why didn't you let me know? But if it isn't true, then they'll just ignore me and there'll be no harm done. But I don't think there is it isn't free. It isn't without cost. The more that we get in the habit of replaying and relaying and endorsing information that's false, particularly when there's a kind of security angle to it, the more we're softening up people who could actually do with some real advice that really mattered. Because what you're doing is you're kind of convincing them to take steps that won't help them. And that time that they spend doing that could better be spent doing things that really matter. Here's a good example, actually. This is an earlier hoax. It claims that Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, invented the word BFF. So here's a way to check that your account is safe on Facebook. Type BFF, best friend forever, in a comment. If it appears green, your account is protected. And you're being asked to copy and relay that to everybody. And I can imagine that it seems unbelievable, a sort of shred of truth to it, isn't there? Because you know that when you're in a web browser and you go to an HTTPS website with a valid web certificate, everything's in green, and green is meant to be good. It's green for go, green for secure. Now, in fact, all that happened is there was a period where Facebook decided that some words in a post would get, colourful annotations so they stand out, things like Christmas, birthday, happy returns or whatever, and BFF was one of them. They just render it in a different colour so it looked cool. So if you did type in BFF, you would see it come up in green, and you wouldn't have seen that before because it was a new behaviour. The problem is in repeating that information is that you're convincing people that that is actually a security measure, that the green text in the post says something about your account and whether it's safe or not. It doesn't. It's just simply coloured text that Facebook decided to put to enhance the look of the post. So the problem with forwarding hoaxes of that sort is you're giving people advice that they may take the trouble to follow. They'll see a result, they'll assume that this means something good for them, and in fact you're giving them a false sense of security.
We've had a comment, but it's just saying about we're having a lot of buffering. We're sorry, we'll try and fix it for next time. There's not much we can do.
No, hopefully when we upload the video later it will be a little more coherent. So if you watch it back later, maybe it will look better.
And you can continue asking questions in the comments. We'll try and answer them. So in conclusion, Duck, what is your one-line advice to Facebook users?
Very simply, be aware before you share, and do not let other people put words in your mouth in posts online, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anywhere. Don't just accept something at face value, copy it, and send it out with your name on it. That is something you may deeply regret later on.
Okay, I think that's about it from us. Sorry about the connection issues. We will be back very soon.
Yeah, you think new year, new network connectivity, new network coolness, but I guess, maybe everyone's back at work and they're all trying to catch up, and that's why things are slow. Who knows? But thanks for watching, those of you who joined in, and let's hope that the video later comes out at slightly higher quality.
Thanks.
Bye.